Soon after Marlow's arrival, strange packages began to appear on residents' doorsteps. Small, wrapped in brown paper with a blood-red seal, the packages exuded an air of mystery and terror. Each recipient, upon opening their package, found objects that evoked their worst nightmares and darkest secrets. Emily, the local school teacher, was one of the first to receive one of these packages. Inside, she found a porcelain doll with hollow eyes. The sight of the doll brought back painful memories of her childhood when her twin sister died in a fire that started in their room. The doll was an exact replica of the one her sister held on the night of the tragedy. Emily felt a chill run down her spine as she wondered who could know about this traumatic event and, worse, why they were tormenting her with it now. Next door, Sheriff Tom Williams opened a package and found an old pistol and a broken watch. Stopped at the exact time his best friend, Charles Prentice, was hit by a train 20 years ago. The accident, which happened during a reckless game on the train tracks, had never stopped haunting him. Tom had always felt he could have prevented the tragedy, and the sight of the broken watch rekindled his guilt and torment. Mrs. Thompson, the elderly lady who lived on the corner of Main Street, received an old photograph of a funeral. The image was faded and clearly showed the burial of her son, Billy Thompson, who mysteriously died decades ago. The photograph captured not only the coffin but also a dark figure in the background, a figure she immediately recognized, John Marlow. The revelation left her disturbed and confused, and she began to question whether Marlow was truly human or something much more sinister. Throughout the town, other residents also received packages that unearthed painful secrets and long-forgotten memories. The town, once peaceful and predictable, began to unravel under the weight of these revelations. The local pastor, David, found an old Bible that had been stolen from his church years ago, stained with blood. The young mother, Linda, discovered a cassette tape with the voice of her abusive father, someone she had tried to forget her entire life. The atmosphere in South Rendivill grew increasingly oppressive. The air felt heavy, charged with a palpable negative energy. The residents, once united, began to avoid each other, each trapped in their own personal terrors. The children, who used to play freely in the streets, were now kept indoors by frightened and distrustful parents. John Marlow, meanwhile, continued his mail delivery routine with the same impassive expression. His movements were precise, almost mechanical, and he seemed oblivious to the chaos he was sowing in the town. However, in fleeting moments, some residents claimed to see a malicious smile form on his lips, as if he delighted in the suffering he was causing. As the episode progressed, the residents began to gather secretly, trying to understand the connection between them and the dark packages. Emily, Tom, and Mrs. Thompson led the investigation, determined to uncover the truth behind John Marlow and the macabre deliveries. They began to realize that all the objects were somehow linked to the town's dark past, and that Marlow seemed to know secrets no one else should. Tension built to a climax when Emily decided to confront Marlow directly. In a suspenseful scene, she found him on a deserted street and demanded answers. Marlow, with his empty gaze, simply smiled enigmatically and whispered, "There are still many packages to be delivered." With that, he turned and disappeared into the fog, leaving Emily and the entire town in a state of fear and uncertainty. As the fog once again enveloped the town, Emily ran to find Tom and Mrs. Thompson. They gathered in the old town hall, a place that carried its own sinister memories, and began to discuss their findings. Each shared the contents of their packages and the painful memories they awakened. The discussion grew intense as they realized that Marlow knew more about them than anyone else. Mrs. Thompson recalled an incident from her past when a young boy mysteriously disappeared. She had always suspected her son was involved, but never had the courage to investigate thoroughly. Now, with the photograph in hand, she felt compelled to confront the secrets of the past. Pastor David, shaken by the sight of the blood-stained Bible, remembered the day a young faithful was brutally murdered inside the church. The crime was never solved, and David had always blamed himself for not protecting his flock. With the Bible now in his hands, he felt an urgent need to seek redemption. Linda, on the other hand, was haunted by the cassette tape. The voice of her abusive father echoed in her mind, reopening wounds she thought were healed. Determined not to be a victim again, she joined the group with a fierce determination to uncover the truth behind the packages and the mysterious mailman. As they advanced in their investigation, the residents discovered that all the dark events in their lives were somehow connected to John Marlow in the forgotten history of South Rendivill. They found old documents and testimonies suggesting that Marlow was once a resident of the town, involved in a terrible accident that was covered up by local authorities. The episode culminated in a shocking revelation. Marlow was not just a mailman but a vengeful spirit, returning to settle scores and expose South Rendivill's darkest secrets. The truth about his past was more sinister than anyone could have imagined, and his presence in the town was a harbinger of even greater disasters. As night fell over South Rendivill, the residents, now united by fear and the need for survival, prepared to face the horrors Marlow brought with him. They knew they could no longer ignore the secrets of the past and had to confront their own guilt and fears to break the curse hanging over the town. With the atmosphere charged with suspense and terror, Episode 2 left viewers on the edge of their seats, eager to discover what would happen next in the dark saga of the Mailman of Death.